Hey guys, so you hear a lot of talk these days about tiny living and tiny houses and tiny apartments and all that sort of stuff. It's all over YouTube, there's people doing it, there's us living in a tiny apartment, your cousin Jerry's probably living in a tiny place, but some of these places are like beautiful, right? The question really is living tiny actually worth it? And we're about to get into that, so let's jump into the video.
Hi, I'm Ryan.
And I'm Michelle.
This is Thor.
And we're a millennial couple trying to live on one salary
And get out of debt
while still living a content lifestyle.
Join us in our journey as we live lux on less.
Hey you guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Michelle, and this is Ryan, and we're Hey Olexa, a millennial couple trying to get out of debt with one salary while living on the other. It's our belief that the first step to your dream life is financial literacy. So we try to stay financially frugal by living in a tiny apartment, and here's the breakdown.
So there's a few different costs that we put together between what we pay and what the average costs are in Louisville if you have like a normal sized apartment that can fit all the things. First thing is obviously rent.
So we paid $375 in rent. $350 of that is for our rent, and $25 of that is for our pet rent for Thor. And we have been so graciously accommodated by our landlord with a German Shepherd. That was something that was really difficult for us to find, was someone that didn't restrict his breed.
Then the next main thing is utilities.
And with utilities, we took our average. We actually went through our entire history of our utilities bill, and we averaged right around that $96 mark. So we'll round up to $100, and that is just our electric. It's our electric and our gas. We don't pay water. That is provided to us by our landlord.
So the next thing, we don't actually have laundry hookups here because it's a tiny place, and so we do have to pay for laundry.
So we've allotted around $100 for, and that's typically about what we spend, is $100 for laundry. Easy enough. We take it to a laundromat, we do it there, $100.
And then the last really main cost that can be different is the fact that because we're in a tiny place, we actually can't fit quite everything that we own in this small space, so we do have a storage unit.
So we have a storage unit mainly because we did not plan well when Ryan was moving in, and also because there were things that we can't store here that we were not giving up. I have an heirloom dresser that my dad made me. Ryan has a few things
musical
too.
equipment.
And neither of us were really willing to part with it, but we didn't need it in this space, nor did it fit in this space. So we did go ahead and opt for a bit larger of a storage unit than we need, which we are hoping to downsize very soon. If you've been around, you know that we've been doing the minimalist challenge, which we'll link up here somewhere, of how we're getting rid of things and also using some of those things to pay down some debt by selling them. So that's just a little bit. So $75 for the storage unit.
And so then let's compare that to the average apartment in Louisville. Now the average apartment in Louisville, we decided after looking it up on Zumper.com.
So on Zumper.com is $855. So right, the average apartment cost in Louisville, Kentucky is $855, which is a 2% increase from last year.
And then we also went through and tried to find the average utility cost in Louisville, Kentucky, and we looked at a few different sources and they were kind of all over the place. We had one for $92, one at $142, one at $149. So we decided that roughly speaking, utilities are gonna be around the same amount of money so that we spend. So we're calling that a wash and saying $100, which may be giving a little free room to an average apartment, but let's say $100 at an average apartment and $100 for us.
Absolutely.
So assuming that the average rent is $855 plus that $100 we decided for the utility cost per regular place is gonna put the average apartment right around $955 every single month.
And that's not including water. Most places do charge you water. So $24 a month for water. I don't know if that's exactly accurate. We're gonna go with it. That's what the internet said. So we're up to right around $1,000.
Yeah. So yeah, for your average apartment in Louisville, you're roughly at $1,000. And for our rent in Louisville, what is the total?
$647. That's $350 worth of savings.
Which we've looked into the idea of moving somewhere else because we think about this and we're like, how much are we actually saving? But every time we come back to, well, it really is cheaper. However, there are a few other considerations to think about because it's not just all about money, right? They taught us that in preschool. But you also have to consider the amount of time it's going to take to do some of those things. For instance, when you're doing your laundry every month, as Michelle kind of alluded to earlier, you got to take your laundry and either do it yourself, or we've actually resorted to dropping it off a lot of the time for the sake of time, because a few hours every single week really adds up.
And it was a few hours for each of us every single week. It was like Ryan would go and do a couple of loads, and then I would go and do a couple of loads, and it just was so much time that we were spending. And it's like we had originally tried to like take some of our work, like of course we YouTube, and we tried to take some of our work to actually be productive while we were there. And that just was really distracting, and we didn't get anything done each time we tried to do that. So for us, it just made the most sense. We pay a little bit higher of a premium to go and have it like done for us. But for us, like just getting that time back every week really saves us a lot of hassles, and it actually saves us fights, quite frankly.
Another thing is doing dishes. So we also don't have a dishwasher in our tiny place. And so that's a huge time commitment as well. So although it does save us money, it does take a lot of time for us to do dishes all the time.
Yeah, another thing is like, because it's such a small place, like we don't have, for a lot of people, that things that you don't even think about that take us a lot longer with our dishes is like, we don't have a coffee pot or a Keurig. We have a French press, which we have to wash by hand every single night, or we have to at least rinse it out if we're gonna have a second pot of coffee on the weekends. So like nothing is like just ready and easily accessible, which is why we've made everything so functional in this space. Like the things that do take us a little bit more time are not, it's not everything in the house taking like so much time away from us. It's just a couple of options, a couple of things.
And another thing for us is living in an inexpensive place is that we have done a little bit of work to it ourselves to make it, like Michelle's kind of mentioned, to make it work so functionally well for us. And so I think we've kind of gotten it finally to where we want it. But for the first few months that we were living together, even before when Michelle was living on her own, we were doing a lot of projects to this place to make it so functional. And that was also a huge time commitment. Luckily, that was before we started a YouTube channel. So if you're thinking about doing both, just don't do them at the same time.
That's not worth it. All of that to say, you guys, like there's pros and cons to everything. And for us, it made the most sense and still makes the most sense for us to be here in this tiny place, especially with some of the dreams and goals that we have and that we're aggressively planning and saving for. We would not be able to achieve the financial goals that we really want to achieve in this year and in the years to come, quite frankly.
And we have to remind each other of that all the time, because there are days that it just seems like too much.
There will be another video on that very soon.
TV's near you.
We're super excited that you're here. To everyone that's been hanging around, we're so grateful. I'm pretty sure by the time this video goes live, we will have finally reached our 100 subscribers, which we're super pumped about. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys very much.
One really budget-friendly tip that we can give you guys, and it's budget-friendly because it's super easy. All you have to do is click that little button that says subscribe. It's a gift that you give us every single time, and it's a gift that genuinely keeps on giving. Not only does it keep on giving, but it really means the world to us.
All right, and don't forget, you can also find us on Instagram at Hey Olexa.
With an O.
And until next time, budget wisely.
And compromise kindly. We'll see you next time, guys.
See you guys.